Tim is a 35-year-old musician who never managed to build any kind of notable career and believes one of the reasons is his girlfriend, Millie, a simple schoolteacher who's holding him back. Tim and Millie have been together for 10 years and the spark is almost gone. But they decide to give their relationship one more chance, moving from the city to a small town to start fresh. A walk along the local forest trails leads them to an underground cave, after which Tim and Millie suddenly feel drawn to each other again. But alas, not in a figurative sense, but in the most literal way possible. Their bodies now seem desperate to fuse together. Just 5 years ago, Western horror cinema was obsessed with slashers. The genre was on top, dissected and reinvented by truly talented filmmakers. But a couple of years ago, everything changed. Body horror took center stage, thanks to films like Possessor, Titan, Raw, Infinity Pool, and of course, The Substance, which proved there was still something new to add to what David Cronenberg, Brian Yuzna, Frank Henenlotter, and Stuart Gordon had already explored. Together is another standout body horror film, and arguably even more accessible to mainstream audiences than its predecessors. This comparison might not seem obvious, but Together feels like it belongs alongside two unexpected films. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and 500 Days of Summer. Both took painful, toxic relationships as their foundation and tried to explore them in unconventional ways, through the lens of art house sci-fi in the first case and a sun-drenched rom-com in the second. In Together, director and screenwriter Michael Shanks uses a similar approach, relying on a simple yet effective metaphor. What if your bodies were literally trying to merge into one? Tim, who's been avoiding intimacy with Millie, suddenly feels an overwhelming need to be physically close to her. Meanwhile, Millie, who's slowly realizing that Tim isn't the sweet guy she fell for 10 years ago, doesn't know how to react to his disturbing craving for closeness. As they resist the call of the flesh, a force that threatens to erase their individuality, Tim and Millie rediscover their feelings for each other, making their predicament seem all the more hopeless. Another director might have turned this premise into a slow, melancholic art house piece, but Michael Shanks, true to his Australian roots, sees it less as a tragedy and more as an opportunity for pitch-black, biting, over-the-top irony. He ensures the film never slips into meditative pretentiousness. Together is simultaneously horrifying, witty, and vicious. A movie that refuses to be overly intellectual or artsy when it can throw a grotesque two-headed freak at its characters, make them stick together mid-sex, and then cap it all off with a jarring contrast between the revolting mess on screen and a saccharine Spice Girls ballad playing over it. Even the casting feels deliberate. Instead of art house darlings, Shanks entrusted the lead roles to Dave Franco, still shaking off his goofy comedy reputation, and Alison Brie, best known for Community and Glow. Their performances lack any trace of refinement, and Shanks embraces it, highlighting their raw, unpolished authenticity. These are flawed, flesh and blood people, far from perfect, but undeniably real and relatable.